What does that mean? So he bought these weapons to the extent we know where he got them.
What does it mean?
Everyone,
somebody would have
let me just finish my question. But somebody did know. The U.S. government knows, the Justice Department knows, whenever you buy a weapon legally from a federal firearms license holder, you go through a background check. He did. So the government knew that he had these weapons.
Not if you buy it from a gun show, Tucker. It's called the gun show loophole.
But he
that is another reasonable gun
You're
reform.
speaking out of ignorance. He didn't buy them at gun shows.
Tucker,
okay.
Tucker, it is not accurate to say that every time you buy a gun, you have to go through a background check. You can buy them at gun shows with no background check
Stop filibustering and answer my question. This guy bought the guns that we know that he bought legally. Okay? So for the guns that we have tracked to their origin, they were all purchased legally, and he went through a background check in each case. He had no felony record and no mental illness on record, and so he was allowed to buy them. So the government did know. What should the government have done at that point?
Tucker, a federal standard for tracking the firearms of high velocity that every American owns
but what does that mean?
The government.
What does that mean?
I'm trying to explain. If I could explain, Tucker, we knew that he bought them, yes, and he bought them legally, yes. There is no uniform federal standard for tracking who owns these weapons and how many they have. If there was such a standard, we would have seen the Department of Justice and the ATF would have been tipped off that this gentleman was absolutely amassing an arsenal, and they could have had reasonable probability to ask him questions about why and what he was doing. And that was not there. That was not there, and as a result, this gentleman was able to kill 59
people. It's hard to argue with somebody who doesn't know anything, but let me, I'm just trying to get to the very specifics here.
Don't be disrespectful. Don't be disrespectful.
Well, no, I'm being sincere.
There's no universal tracking. Okay. No, there's no tracking.
So what is the tracking you're proposing? This is probably the last gun control segment I'm ever going to do because it's too frustrating, but I want you to be very specific. If you buy over a certain number of guns, does that mean you believe the government should be, law enforcement should be required to go to your house and talk to you, follow you, put you under surveillance? What are you talking about specifically?
As I said in the last section in which I tried to answer, if we are to allow the purchase of high-velocity machines which are used exclusively for the efficient killing of mass numbers of humans, it is a reasonable gun control measure to track how many of these one person owns.
But what does that mean, track? Does it mean put them under surveillance? What does it mean? What are you talking about?
Tucker, the government knows how many cars I own. I have to register them. I have to report them.
But what should they do about it?
The government
he already had background checks already.
We can know how many you.
But
why do you own 56? Tucker, stop. This is just being, it's not productive. So let's go to the next question.
No, but you're not answering my question, which is what should the government then do?
Because you're not allowing me, and it's not being productive, Tucker. What we know is at this point that we have allowed ourselves to end the gun control debate in this country. There is no debate.
This is just propaganda. You don't have a real answer. I'm too literal for conversations like this. It's too dumb. I'm asking you, what does it mean to...
The gun debate is over in this country.
Got it done. I've had enough. This is not useful. A lot of people are calling for new gun control measures after the attack, but what exactly do they mean by that? Just do something. What do they want done? We'll talk to one of those people next. Well, an awful lot of people in the last 24 hours, politicians, late-night talk show hosts, media folks, have responded to the Las Vegas shooting by demanding new gun control measures, or at least attacking those who aren't demanding new gun control measures. They speak confidently, though we'd guess that few, if any of them, have ever handled or even looked at the guns they want banned, but whatever. That's become the rule in 21st century America. The less you know about firearms, the more confident you feel in advocating far-reaching national laws about them. Colby Hall writes at Mediaite, he just wrote a piece saying the scariest part of the Las Vegas attack, scarier than the people who were killed, is, quote, the pro-gun message that nothing can be done in response to those murders. Colby Hall joins us tonight. Hey, Colby, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Tucker.
So you wrote a column that was very outraged. You dipped deep into the adjective bin. You said, and I'm quoting now, it's cowardly, embarrassing, shallow, craven, irresponsible for TV figures not to offer specific solutions to gun violence.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Well, no, you said to the pundits who say there's nothing that can be done.
Were what I wrote. That's exactly right.
You said to the let me quote you now. To the pundits who say there's nothing that can be done, let's at least try. Anything else is cowardly and embarrassing, and to suggest such is shallow, craven, and irresponsible use of your broadcast power. That's what you said.
If you're criticizing me for saying that we should try to keep the frequency of violent mass shootings happening, then I'm guilty as charged. It's
well, no,
absurd
I'm not saying that at all.
Well, no, but the point of my piece was a critique, a fair critique, on pro-gun thought leaders who are saying that this was the price of freedom, or there are some things that the government shouldn't be able to stop or can't stop, or there's nothing that could have been done that would have stopped this. That all may be true, and that may all be sort of to the letter true, but the spirit of that idea is, I mean, it's defeatist, it's nihilist, and yes, it's cowardly and irresponsible.
I'm not sure I understand. So, I mean, I understand the point of the piece, which is to put your virtue on display and say, I care, I'm a good person, I live in Brooklyn.
That was not. Well, thank you for telling me what I meant.
Okay. But it suggests that you have an answer that lesser mortals are ignoring. And so let me ask you point blank, what is the solution to what you call gun violence, to shootings like yesterday? What laws should Congress be taking up, should pundits be advocating for, that would have prevented that?
Well, in the toss to the segment, you sort of mocked this piece, this idea, by saying that we should do something. Of course we should do something. To suggest that we should do nothing in the face of this, is absurd.
I'm not suggesting that, and I never would suggest it. I don't feel that way, and I'm not advocating for it. I'm simply asking you, and you made this clear in your piece, you're a very good person who cares.
Thank you.
I'm wondering specifically what we should be doing. What should we do legislatively to prevent this from happening again?
I'm not an expert on guns. I'm a gun owner. I grew up in a small town in Kansas. I own a shotgun and a rifle that have been in my family for a long time. I used to go hunting. I'm not for banning guns.
No. I'm asking what you're for. I'm not asking what you're not for. I'm asking you, what are you for? All these people are allowed. We got to do something. Okay, what?